Hi guys, it's Matty Conrad here. I wanted to give you a couple of tips on outlining men's haircuts. One of the things that you're going to find is that there's a lot of variation, a lot of things that you can do with an outline. But I want you to understand that what shapes you choose to make on your outline actually affects the way that the whole haircut is going to look. Because the outline isn't just the last 10% of the haircut, it's actually 50% of the haircut. It's what most people will see about your men's haircut. So you really want to take your time to make it perfect. You have two choices when you're working with different kind of lines to create. You can either make rounded or curved lines with no corners or very soft corners, or you can make really angular straight lines and really clean corners. Or you can fade it and have no lines at all. But what we're going to do here, we've got some really great texture curly hair. Garrett's hair is absolutely amazing, and I love the curliness of the shape. The thing about curly hair, though, is it has a tendency to almost default to kind of look a little round. And so whenever we have stuff that's really curly, got a lot of movement, I like to put square lines in it because it makes a nice kind of clean, juxtaposed look, so it doesn't necessarily look like the whole thing is just really round and soft, because square shapes make things look a little bit more masculine, a little bit more lean. So to create a square shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him to tilt his head just right forward, and that's going to tension up the skin on the back of his neck. And I'm going to make sure that I got my shoulders lined up with him and I'm standing right in the middle so that I'm not skewed either way. I want to make sure that I've got a nice view of the countertop behind me so I can tell what's level. Because getting it level is the first thing that most people screw up. If you're coming at your lineup over here and kind of coming off pitch like this, you're not going to have an idea of what's level behind it. And you want to make sure you get it really nice and clean and level. That's the most basic part. So I'm going to square my shoulders up to him, tilt his head forward. I'm going to turn my trimmer into the inverted position, which means I'm punching a line into it. I'm going to get nice and low so I'm on level with my work. I'm going to stand a little further back so I make sure that I've got a nice perception of what's level. I'm going to punch a line right through the middle, making sure that I work with as much of the natural fabric as I can, cleaning that hairline up, and I'm not going to move. I'm going to stand right in the middle and I'm going to punch that line all the way out from the center, all the way out on both sides. Now when I got my line, I'm just going to stop and I'm going to make sure it's level. I'm going to lean back a little bit and see that we got a nice level line. Now this one's for the ladies out there, all right? What you have in your hand when you're doing this is basically, in this position, a very hot metal rake, because it's heating up. The metal is rubbing against the metal and it's really scratchy on this side. And I see you do this. I see you like scrape the hair off like that, and it's really not what it's for. And I see the red lines form, and that usually means ouch. That means uncomfortable. And I know that you don't think he's uncomfortable because he hasn't said anything, but that's because you're pretty and you're cool and you're touching him. And so he's not gonna say nothing. He doesn't wanna look like he's a wuss. So do him a favor. What I want you to do is turn it around to the flat position, and this is what we call a 5/0 trimmer. It's the closest possible you can get without actually shaving the skin. But you'll notice if we come in here, it really does shave the hair off quite nicely. So you can just clean right up to that line. You punch your line in and then you clean the hair up to it. It's the most comfortable way to do that. You're not gonna see him make that weird little like eye twitchy thing, you know, that like that look. They're not gonna do that. And he's not gonna white knuckle the chair either. It's gonna be really good and comfortable. Now when we come around to the side, we got a sidewall here, and I like to start from the bump at the back of the ear, what I call the anchor point. I like to start from there and make as nice and clean a straight line down as possible. So I'm gonna turn my trimmer inverted. I'm gonna start from this, I'm gonna make a nice clean line right down to this corner, same thing, and then I'm gonna turn my trimmer into the cutting position and I'm gonna clean it up this way. And if I was working with a straight razor, I would be coming here applying tension and going in there with my straight razor. Now, around the ears, I want you guys to remember, like, the way you handle a guy's ear is a really important part of the outlining procedure, because first of all, you don't want to aggressively tug it too much. You don't want to tug it too far, because what it's going to do is it's going to pull the skin in the back here, and it's actually going to move it out of place so that when you cut it, when it comes back, it's going to have a little hole there. So don't get too aggressive, but don't be too light either. If you're too light and soft, it just kind of feels weird. Does that feel weird, Garrett? Does it kind of feel like I'm flirting with you a bit in a weird way? It's not cool, right? All right, that's not cool, all right? You really do want to just make sure that you're confident around handling a man's ears, because the way that you handle those ears makes him feel confident that you know what you're doing. So I pin the ear all the way forward, making sure that it doesn't tension the skin too much here. I turn the trimmer on its side, and I work in a nice rounded shape, ear-shaped, right up into the center. Then I'll pull the ear all the way back, and I'll start from the front, same motion, and I'll patch all the way up into the center, and I'll clean that as nice as I can, keeping that ear shape. Now, one of the things that I find really fun is that there's sideburns here that we're gonna play with too. Sideburns are the hairline for the side of the face, okay? If you want a classic look, they should be level and they need to be even on both sides. So we're gonna start a nice little square shape, just right through the center there. I'm gonna punch a nice little line about center ear, nice and level. And now this is not where the hairline stops. The hairline actually travels all the way around the face, but a lot of hairdressers will stop right here and let the rest kind of work itself out. But what you really want to do to clean these looks up, especially when you have this nice texture and this nice shape, I love creating these really strong front hairlines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm really going to strengthen up the look of that hairline and make it nice and clean. I'm going to accentuate that point on the face. You need to make sure you never take that off. That needs to stay there for his face shape to look square. And I'm going to come and I'm going to create this nice rounded shape in the front here, all the way down to the corner of the sideburn. Get rid of all those little loose hairs around the face that never ever get long. And that already is starting to make a much stronger looking haircut. Then I'm gonna push this hair back and you'll see a lot of these little fine hairs that come in here. And these fine hairs almost never get long either. And so what I do is I always make a nice strong corner out of that. So I comb those down into shape and I come in here and I'm gonna punch just a tiny line. I'm not going into the hairline. All I'm doing is taking out some of those finer hairs that are never gonna look solid and strong in that haircut and make a really nice corner up here. It accentuates the square architecture of the face and it gives it a really nice clean look to your haircut. So you can see that outline much stronger. And now when we lay that over top, it really does have a clean profile look. So just follow those steps and you will have for yourself a perfect outline. If you wanna see more tips, check us out at behindthechair.com.